Adam Monroe's pen hovered an inch above the dotted line. The conference room on the 42nd floor of Sterling Tower was a glass cage overlooking Manhattan, the kind of place where billion-dollar deals happened while the world bustled unknowingly below. In front of him, a contract worth $10 million waited. Across from him sat Victor Hale, the silver-haired managing partner of Sterling Capital, flanked by two other investors in tailored suits. They were silent, but their posture said everything: sign. You have no better option. The only sound was the rhythmic ticking of the antique clock mounted on the far wall. Adam could feel the weight of every second pressing down on him. He had built his company from nothing, an underdog startup that gave jobs to people most corporations wouldn't even consider. Single parents, immigrants with no U.S. work history, veterans trying to reintegrate into civilian life. People with complicated pasts but unshakable work ethic. Sterling Capital didn't see that as innovation. They saw it as weakness. If Adam signed, they'd take majority control, and the first thing they'd do was replace half his team with more efficient hires. His father's voice echoed in his mind, a memory from years ago: once you sign away your values, you don't get them back, son. Adam's hand trembled. Then, a sharp knock at the glass door. Victor looked irritated. "We're in the middle of something," he snapped. The door opened just enough for a young woman to peek in. She couldn't have been more than 21, wearing a worn winter coat and holding a paper bag. Her cheeks were flushed from the cold, and she looked wildly out of place in this world of polished marble and six-figure watches. "Mr. Monroe?" she asked softly, but there was urgency in her tone. Adam blinked. "I'm in a meeting." She stepped inside anyway, ignoring the tension in the room. "This is for you." Adam frowned. "I didn't order anything." She met his eyes and, in a voice barely above a whisper, spoke in Arabic. "La tansa man enta. Do not forget who you are." The words hit Adam like a punch to the chest. He hadn't heard that phrase in years, not since the man who once saved him from hunger spoke them with the same unshakable warmth. Now they were coming from a stranger. 6 hours earlier, Adam had walked to Sterling Tower through a morning that felt colder than any December he could remember. The city was its usual chaotic self: yellow cabs blaring horns, steam rising from manhole covers, people rushing to work with coffee cups clutched in gloved hands. But Adam barely noticed any of it. His mind was on the deal. On paper, this was salvation. His company, Corsolve Technologies, had been bleeding cash for months. The economy wasn't friendly to small firms, especially those unwilling to compromise values for profit margins. Sterling Capital's offer was generous: $10 million for a controlling stake. It would pay off debts, expand operations, and keep the doors open. But Adam knew the fine print was a knife in the ribs. They would cut unnecessary payroll costs, meaning his single mother project manager, the former inmate who ran logistics flawlessly, the war veteran who handled procurement. Sterling's version of growth meant efficiency at the cost of humanity. That was the part Adam couldn't stomach. But walking away might mean the company wouldn't survive another 3 months. Flashback, 12 years ago. It was Adam's first winter in New York. He was 23, fresh out of college, with a dream bigger than his bank account. His apartment was a drafty studio above a laundromat. Heat was spotty, and the rent consumed nearly every cent from his job at a printing shop. Food was a luxury. One night, after skipping dinner again, Adam wandered into a tiny Syrian grocery store. The air inside was warm, fragrant with cardamom and fresh-baked bread. Behind the counter stood an elderly man with kind eyes and a weathered face. "You look frozen, my friend," the man said. "Sit. I will make you something." Adam tried to refuse, but the man insisted, ladling steaming lentil soup into a bowl. He pushed it toward Adam with a smile. "On the house." They ate together, and Adam learned the man's name was Mahmoud. He had left Damascus decades earlier, building his store from scratch. He spoke of his philosophy, that kindness was the only currency that multiplied when spent. Before Adam left, Mahmoud placed a hand on his shoulder and said in Arabic, La tansa man enta. Do not forget who you are. It became a quiet anchor in Adam's life. Back to the present, conference room. Adam stared at the young woman in the doorway. Who told you to say that? Her voice was steady but soft. My uncle. He knew you, a long time ago. Adam's breath caught. Mahmoud? She nodded. I'm Layla. He told me stories about you. About how you were young and hungry, but you never let the city harden you. He said, if I ever found you, I should remind you who you are. The air in the room felt different now. The investors shifted impatiently. Victor cleared his throat. Mr. Monroe, can we proceed? Adam's gaze dropped to the contract. Suddenly, the ink on the page looked like poison. He closed the folder. No. We can't. Victor's brow furrowed. No. I can't sign this deal, Adam said, standing. Not at the cost of my people. Victor's polite mask slipped. Adam, this is a mistake. Your company is drowning. We're throwing you a lifeline. Adam shook his head. You're throwing me an anchor. I'd rather swim. And with that, he walked out. The cafe. Layla was still outside, shivering in the wind. When she saw Adam, her brows lifted in question. You didn't sign, did you? She asked. No, Adam said. Thanks to your uncle. They walked together to a small Lebanese cafe tucked on a quiet street. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of grilled meat and warm bread. Over steaming plates of shawarma, Layla told her story. Her parents had passed away when she was 16. She'd moved to the US 2 years later, living with relatives until she was on her own. Deliveries kept her afloat, but just barely. Her dream was to study architecture, like her father had before her. But tuition was impossible on delivery wages. Adam listened quietly. Her story was too familiar, the same struggle Mahmoud once eased for him. When she finished, Adam said, Layla, what if I told you I could help with that? She blinked. Help? How? I can't take that investor money. But I can invest in people. I'd like to cover your tuition. Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. You'd do that? For me? For Mahmoud, Adam said. And for the man he believed I could be. Tears shimmered in her eyes. You don't know what this means. Adam smiled. I think I do. Months later. Korsolv survived. It didn't explode into billionaire status, but it grew slowly, with its heart intact. Layla studied architecture while working part-time on community projects with Adam's company. One evening, as they walked past the corner where Mahmoud's store once stood, Layla whispered in Arabic, La tansa man enta. Adam smiled. I won't. Not ever. Because sometimes, the smallest act of kindness, a bowl of soup, a whispered reminder, can change the biggest decision. And in doing so, it can change more than one life.